Your dopamine pathways aren't dopamining the right way. You literally can't manufacture motivation. I have always wanted to be a present, engaged mother who could keep up with everything it takes to create a peaceful home and cook her family healthy meals. But every day I kept finding myself procrastinating and feeling completely paralyzed. With battling ADHD and anxiety, I started to wonder if my brain was capable. And then I learned something that changed everything for me. See, motivation isn't a personality trait. Motivation comes from your dopamine pathways. That meant it wasn't that I just needed to be more disciplined. We can actually change and rewire these dopamine pathways so that our brain is more motivated. Our overstimulating phones and our society that can give us anything we want in minutes is giving your brain so much quick dopamine that the receptors have had to recalibrate to these artificially high levels. And once this happens, real normal life, cooking and cleaning, doesn't feel like enough anymore. And this can allow us to actually feel depressed. Not because anything is wrong with your life, but because the measuring stick in your brain has been shifted. And moms are uniquely set up to fail with this because pregnancy and postpartum life has already compromised our brains. Add sleep deprivation and stress on top of that, and we have a recipe for disaster. So I'm going to show you the super simple lifestyle shifts that I made that not only reset my dopamine and gave me my motivation back, but even improved those ADHD and anxiety symptoms. The first habit you might have heard before, but stick with me because most people don't understand why it's so important. Getting morning sunlight in your eyes is one of the highest leverage things you can do, and you will start to notice a little bit more pep in your step and a little bit more motivation in the morning where you didn't have it before. Hi, I'm Janelle, mother of 4, and when I realized that a healthy lifestyle was the key to being a happy and energized mom who could keep up with it all, I actually studied to become an integrative nutrition health coach. I want to share with you everything I have learned that has given me the consistent motivation I need. I'm lucky I live in Florida, but if you live somewhere where the sun does not come out as much or as early, you can get these light lamps. That sunlight or sun lamp goes through your eyes and to your brain and tells your brain to start producing dopamine. It's also setting up your circadian rhythm. So you're going to get dopamine. Your hormones are going to be more balanced, and you're going to get better sleep, which is going to allow your dopamine pathways to do what they need to do, healing at night, and for you to wake up with more energy the next day. This is a huge ripple effect I want you to take so seriously. I've actually made sure in all of my houses to put my desk in front of a window where the sun comes up so that in the morning I am getting that natural sunlight. I will also just take my coffee outside for a few minutes to enjoy it, and I try to take morning walks as well. Now, habit 2 is going to protect that fuel from being stolen before you've gotten a chance to use it. So remember that your dopamine pathways have been rewired because of artificially high levels of dopamine being fed to your brain. You need to remove the constant stimulation. I started with social media and moved into more audiobooks and stuff as I was tapering off my phone addiction. Alongside deleting social media, one of the best things you can do is promise yourself not to touch the phone until noon. I've already told my mom and trained my mom that she probably won't hear from me till noon, and if she needs me, she can call me. You're going to be amazed how much you get done just by taking that distraction away. One more thing I want you to pay attention to that directly ties into your reward system in your brain is if every time you finish a task, you reward yourself with a phone, you are artificially inflating that reward system. You're also taking away precious transitional moments your brain needs to actually process. Instead, cherish these in-between moments as quiet white spaces. Try just letting yourself be, or make a cup of tea, step outside for a moment, or even do a little brain dump on a piece of paper in between tasks. And if you love to-do lists, this is a great time to check off those boxes for a lower dopamine hit that will actually keep you refocused. But removing stimulation was only half the battle for me. I knew I had to take those bad things out of my life and remove the distractions, but I also had to put the good in. Because I knew I was battling that ADHD, I knew I was battling the anxiety, I knew I was battling a brain that had been completely rewired from pregnancy, sleepless nights, and the cell phone addiction. So the next thing I had to do was really start moving my body. And the reason this is so important is because it actually promotes what your brain needs to rewire back. This is called your brain's neuroplasticity. And what exercise does is produces what we call BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factors. A lot of people call this like fertilizer for your brain. And it's what allows your brain to make new connections and to rebuild. And if you're feeling a little bit of that anxiety and depression that I did, there have been studies after studies after studies proving that moving your body is more effective than antidepressants. Exercise is proven to regulate those dopamine receptors. And it's not cheap dopamine. This is the sustainable kind that's going to really heal and recover your brain. Now, I have spent the last 10 years pregnant and breastfeeding nonstop, no breaks in between. So when I say I understand being too tired to exercise, I really understand. And what this looked like for me a lot of the time was just making sure that I took a walk around the block, or making sure that I got down on the floor and did some stretching, or simply picked up some dumbbells. I am not doing all three of these on the same day. I'm not waking up at 5 a.m. to do HIIT training. I'm not asking you to snap back. I'm asking you to slightly get your heart rate up. So go jump on the trampoline with your kids if you can for even 5 minutes. That can get your heart rate up. 5 minutes of the dumbbells can get your heart rate up, and that's going to also work your muscles. Picking up heavy things and putting them back down again is so important. And you can use your feet to lift baby too. So intentionally just use your kids more for exercise, right? And I've been telling everybody for years, I don't go to the gym to get my body back. I go to the gym for my mental health. Because if I don't go to the gym or if I don't exercise, I get anxiety. P.S. The YMCA has child drop-off. They will keep your children for 2 hours. That is enough for a 1 hour class and some time to sit in the hot tub or the sauna or take a swim or read a book. I can't tell you how many times I was up all night breastfeeding. There was no way I was going to exercise at all, and I still dropped my kids off at the YMCA just so that I could relax. Do it. The next one might not sound like a dopamine reset, but I promise you guys, once I started eating a higher protein diet, I started to feel so much better. My mental clarity and my energy skyrocketed. I used to be vegan and I used to feel completely burnt out constantly. I was not getting enough protein. And what our brain needs to create neurotransmitters mostly comes from animal protein because there's higher varieties. It is possible with a plant-based diet, but it takes so much intention. Depending on your season, mom, you might need to just get a protein shake, and that's fine. You can also look for essential amino acids. This is going to give you all 9 essential amino acids versus when you eat food, you're only going to get a few amino acids here, a few amino acids there. And this is why that variety and animal protein is important, because it can give you more bioavailability. Dopamine is specifically built from tyrosine, and about once or twice a week I will actually low dose supplement with some tyrosine, but I notice because it spikes my dopamine so much, I end up crashing the next day, so I have to be careful, and I'm actually playing with even lower dosing it, so just super micro dosing tyrosine, because it does help me find my missing executive function. That on top of the motivation, if you have ADHD like me, that executive function might be missing. So increasing your overall protein intake and microdosing tyrosine may help. Another shift I'm about to add into my life is I'm going to start making sure I always have boiled eggs on hand, so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to start eating a boiled egg before I drink coffee. I've been learning more about how coffee on an empty stomach isn't the best idea, but I'm still stuck in that habit, and I'm trying to shift out of that one. When I was vegan, I used to have a ton of like oatmeal and toast for breakfast, and now we simply have eggs with ghee. And that ghee gives some amazing healthy fats while also not having any lactose from the dairy. So ghee is just a superfood in my house. The last shift that was really difficult for me to make, but has also made the biggest difference in resetting my dopamine pathways, has been protecting my sleep. I am a very ambitious person, and I listen to a lot of male-dominated spaces that says, don't make excuses and get up at 5 a.m. and get to the gym, right? And that mentality can really get somebody going, but it's not sustainable. And it absolutely does not consider a 10 years of pregnancy and breastfeeding mom. And so I finally had to ditch my alarm clock. And I found that my body can stay in the bed for 10 to 11 hours. And that's because my sleep is so broken. I just quit breastfeeding. I don't think it's been a year yet, like 9 months. Sleep is amazing. I honestly think one of my regrets is not sleep training. You don't realize how messed up your brain is from not sleeping until you actually start sleeping again. Your dopamine receptors actually restore while you're sleeping. And so if you're not getting enough sunlight, scrolling on your phone, not getting enough protein, not moving your body, and not sleeping, no wonder you're not motivated. Your dopamine pathways aren't dopamining the right way. You literally can't manufacture motivation. I really thought that if I stopped waking up at 5 a.m., I was making an excuse. But please hear me, it's not an excuse. It's real. It is a season in life. There was a quote that was, "You're not tired, you're just not excited about anything." And I tried to live like that for a while. I would tell myself I'm not tired. And then I had to realize, yes, I am. My brain and my body is literally depleted. It is literally tired. It literally needs sleep and nutrition. And I ignored that for so long, and I'm begging you not to ignore your own health and well-being. And if you respect it, and if you start sleeping and eating right, this is the dopamine reset you need, and you will find your motivation again to get up and be the mother and be the homemaker you know you truly are. Your neurochemistry will start to support who you know you truly are. And that's the key. I've put all 5 of these habits, plus supplements and even brain health recipes, all together in a beautiful guide for you, free in the description below. See you there.